And it begins with a prayer. So let us pray. Begin by taking a couple of deep breaths. As you release the breath, just realize you are entering the omnipresent awareness of God. With each breath, we rest in the peace, wholeness, and love of God. We release any cares of the past. We release any concerns for the future. And we rest in the peace, wholeness, and love of presence. We rest in the peace, wholeness, and love of presence. We are open to whatever healing and guidance we may need as we rest in the peace, wholeness, and love of presence. We pray to remember to think in beautiful, positive terms as we go about this day. We remember that we are always in the peace, wholeness, and love of the presence of God. And for this opportunity, we give thanks and we go forth in gratitude. To this we say, Amen.
Good morning. In the spirit of prayer, we'd like to let you know that we do have prayer partners who can pray with you if you are in need of prayer support. If you would like to stay seated after the service is over, and our prayer partners will come find you and discern your needs and take you and pray with you in our beautiful meditation room downstairs. And if you'd like to sing this song with us, we would love to have you.
Not today again.
You will do amazing things with the choice each new day brings. And with every step you take, bless the progress that you make. The reason you live is there in every gift you give. Love your life, love your dreams. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Oh, the places you will go and the people you will know. Don't worry when or where or how. You don't need to close your eyes and take a breath and smile. Yeah. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Wow, that sounded great, you guys. So if you would do an amazing thing right now and stand up and say good morning to those around you.
Nicely done.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to start things off as usual with a few quick announcements. Starting tomorrow is our Angel Camp. That is our children's summer camp. It's for 4 to 12-year-olds. It lasts all week, Monday through Friday, from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. The kids get a snack in there. And we do everything from playing games, singing, chanting, hanging out in the gardens, yoga. We end the whole thing with a big talent show right here on this very stage. It's $125 a child, or $75 for each additional child in the same family. Every kid who comes to this always comes back the next year because it's such a fun, good time, and it's really easy. Give you a little bit of time off in the morning if you'd like. So please sign up for that. If you are thinking of doing it, please sign up for it today over in our bookstore so we can really kind of get an idea of how many people are going to be there, and we can plan accordingly. All right, so this week, starting on Wednesday, and this will be a new ongoing meeting that we're going to have here, it's our restorative yoga, and it's going to meet every Wednesday evening from 5:45 to 6:45 p.m., which gets you off just in time to also come and visit our Wednesday night meditation that we have every week at 7. That's usually led by Jack and Norma. This yoga class is taught by a good friend of ours named Sharon Lippy, who is a certified yoga instructor, and classes are $12. No pre-registration is required. It's just a drop-in class. And also this Wednesday evening, following our 7 o'clock meditation service at 8 p.m., we're actually doing our summer solstice celebration led by Norma right out here, over here by our gardens and our labyrinth out here. We dance, chat, and drum to celebrate the solstice. It does say in your handouts 9 o'clock, but it is actually just at 8 o'clock immediately following our meditation service. I'd like to have Shad come out here to talk about a class that he's having start up this Saturday.
All right, so this Saturday we are kicking off the Healing and Wholeness class. It is 4 Saturdays. It starts at 10 a.m. And you're going to have to attend all 4 Saturdays. You're not going to want to miss the first one. It's not a drop-in class. And I really invite you to be a part of this class. We're going to dive deep into the fundamentals of healing as it is taught in Unity Movement and how it was done by our founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. And we're going to be going deep into how you can heal yourself with your mind and how you can heal your mind with spirit. So I invite you to be a part of this. And if you've signed up for the class and you have not received a syllabus yet, please let Heather know in the office so she can email that out to you so you know what you have to do by this Saturday, because there is an assignment that's actually due on Saturday at the first class. All right, so I hope to see you there.
And like he said, that starts this Saturday at 10 a.m. It goes for 4 Saturdays, and the whole thing is $95. And you can sign up right over here in the bookstore or online. Next, Heather, could I get it's 10 to 12:30. If our handout is to be believed. No, it is. It is. We are doing a fundraiser right now to, for those of you who don't know, to try and shine up our fellowship hall a little bit, because it's really looking dated and it's really looking old. The Groverlands as a whole, all of us, we're willing to match up to $5,000, and we're still trying to get just to $5,000. Right now we're at 3,625 of contributions from our community, and so we're only at 7,250 with us matching. But so if you're feeling like giving a little extra to this fund, please do so today. This week, Cintisha, Shad, and Aaron and I, we all went out to Unity Village. And can I get that next one, Heather? We all went out to Unity Village. That's the tower right there in the middle of the village. But the whole, basically the whole theme of the entire week was community and community building. And this room over here is our community room where we hang out and have community. And how can we have community in this room? Just kind of looks like it's just thrown together. So if you're feeling like giving a little extra to that, write on your check or anything that just says for Fellowship Hall or for the drive, or just something to let us know. Speaking of giving, if you would like to set up an auto tithe, so your tithes just come out of your bank account every week or every month or whatever, however you'd like it to go, we've got a table out here, our automatic donation station. And if you sign up for that, where it would just come straight out of your bank account, any amount, it doesn't matter what amount, you get one of these spiffy little Unity of Boulder coffee mugs. It's a nice solid ceramic mug. It's got a lid. I promise you everything tastes about 20 to 30% better in this than anything else. So if you'd like to experience true drinking nirvana, go right out here following the service. Next week, our Sunday services next week are going to get really exciting, because our special music, well, not only do we have a free pancake catered breakfast brought to you by Hungry Buffs, a longtime local company that from here in Boulder, that immediately following our second service, so that's free, just come right on out for that at 11. But leading up to that, at our 9 and our 11 a.m. services, our special music is going to be none other than Grammy Award winning artist Peter Cater, and we finally get to say winning at the end of that. And it's so awesome. Congratulations to him, and he'll be here for a free, just to play our special music next week, so come out for that. And I believe that is all I have today. Thank you very much.
So we would like this song to invite Spirit into this place to prepare us for the message. So if you know the song, I'd love for you to sing with us. If not, we would love to take you to that place where you are bringing the Spirit here. Go ahead. There's nothing worth more than could ever come close. Nothing can compare. You're our living hope. Your presence, Lord. I've tasted and seen of the sweetest of loves, where my heart becomes free and my shame is undone. Your presence, Lord. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for, to be overcome by your presence, Lord. There's nothing worth more than could ever come close. Nothing can compare. You're our living hope. Your presence, Lord. I've tasted and seen of the sweetest of loves, where my heart becomes free and my shame is undone. Your presence, Lord. Sing with us. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord. Your presence, Lord. Sing with us. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your presence. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your presence. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your presence. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Erna and our Unity Band. Are they the most amazing band? Wow. So this would be the point in the service where we want to acknowledge all of our fathers that are in the audience. If you would stand up, we actually have gifts for you from our staff. And happy Father's Day. Thank you for all you have done. How many are grandfathers out there? Those are just, so we've done a couple generations here. All right, well, I wanted to speak on my father today too, but I'll be weaving it in and out of another. I wrote a different sermon, and then I realized yesterday morning when I woke up that Father's Day was Sunday, so I'm kind of weaving this in, and I never want my dad to be secondary because I really do have one of the most amazing fathers on the planet. So I have to speak to that. You know, I grew up in this community, and I was born actually at Unity Village in Lee Summit, Missouri, and I was there all week visiting the ministers' conference, which is called Imagine. And it's so much fun for us to go there, and I went there with my brother and my sister-in-law and my husband, and it's just a time for a week for us to fill our glasses back up as ministers and listen to keynote speakers, famous authors, and have just the most beautiful music woven in, and they pick different bands from different churches so we can, hear the different types of music that's going around the country. It's just really inspiring. It's just nice to be able to sit and just soak it all in and get inspired in our own lives as well. And they talked a lot about how Charles Fillmore was really more of a teacher than a preacher, that he never really had a vision of having churches, that Unity was never really meant to be a church. It was like, a society of churches in the U.S. It was really meant to be a type of philosophy that could be added to any religious path. It was a metaphysical process that could be added to Catholicism or your Methodist life. So it was really a bringing of all religions together so that you could still speak on your different churches that you went to, and then Unity met in the afternoon at like 1 or 2, and then they could apply metaphysics to the sermon that they got at their specific churches. So it wasn't about separation, it was actually all about all inclusion. And so they were talking about that it was really a practical Christianity. It was applicable to everything. And while I was there, we have ministers that would come up to Shad and I and share their stories about our father. Because my dad is one of the most iconic ministers. There's probably about 4 that are still on the planet that are the iconic ministers that everybody knows their names. And Jack Reverland is one of those. And so he has his fellow classmates. The class of 1976 that he graduated in is the most famous and most successful churches in the country, came from his year. And so they would come and talk to us and ask how Jack's doing and, what is Norma doing? And they'd tell us these hilarious stories about what a goof he was, like how much fun it was to go to school with him. And so they were just having so much fun sharing it with us, and Shad and I just had such a nice time receiving, these awesome stories and hearing all about them. But one of the things that one of them said to me, I said, do you know how many ministries have been started because of your father? And that's the thing that's really an amazing thing, is that this church used to be packed, right? So both services, we were probably seating over, 900 people on a Sunday. And he so inspired people that they found their calling in this church. They sat in this church and at some point heard the whisper from the universe that they wanted to go and change lives. They wanted to transform lives. They felt that feeling. And so they went to ministerial school and they started churches. And so, Charles Fillmore is considered the father of Unity. But there's actually this circulation that Jack has become one of the fathers of Unity also. And so we have so many churches that are around this country because of the messages that he's been sharing for the 40 years that he's been on this pulpit. So this conference was a little different than it has been in the past. It's usually very, very happy, joy, and it's really just a lot of fun and really just to just cheer us all up and get us into a really positive place. But this year, they've been having scientists looking into the future of brick and mortar churches and where it's heading at this point, basically. So if you can see, we've had a decline in people sitting in our pews at this point, and so are all of the churches. It's not just Unity, it's actually all churches. And so obviously, Unity Worldwide Headquarters is taking this, very seriously and hiring people to look at what it is that's not bringing the young people to church. We're not getting those millennials into church. And so they're talking about how we have to start seating ourselves as if church is open in 2030, right? So they're doing this process where they're backcasting. So they futurize ourselves to be sitting at 2030. And then they look at the technology and everything that's going to be happening. What's going to be happening to the Fortune 500 companies? What's going to be happening when it comes to media and who's going to be still alive? Are we still going to have Super Soul Sunday? things of these natures, right? To figure out what is the future. Is there a need for the brick and mortar church, or is it going to become all a cyber experience? Everything is getting to a technological age that this community building, this feeling of being with one another is starting to fall away. And we're seeing the real dangers of that. Last year, suicide went up by 30% in young people under 25 years old. The science is showing that these tablets and these telephones and all of these ways to have this artificial relationships, it's, yeah, you're seeing people and you're hitting like and you're saying you don't like it or you comment on stuff, but that's not an actual interaction with a human being. There's no eye contact. There's no sense of empathy and love. You can misread how things are written in text, and we're missing the language and the vibration. We are energy. You know what I mean? We know we're energy. And so we need to be around other people that have energy, and we can't keep going into this isolation. So the depression levels that are falling on these young people, which we know scientifically, the brain isn't actually fully developed till 25. So they haven't even gotten to the point where the brain is fully developed as a full adult. To be judging these things that are making them feel so lost that they're taking their own lives. Our young people aren't getting into nature the way that we all got into nature as kids because, look at our kids, they're playing on phones. They're not even going outside and playing in the trees and the things that we used to do. And so they talked about how in 10 years, where we are when it comes to technology and what's distracting us in the world will actually be 80 times worse. We'll have that much more technology that's taking care of everything. So think of how many things we have. Computers, iPads, cell phones. Let's see, I have 3 computers. I have one at home, I have one in my office, I have my MacBook, I've got my iPad, and I don't need all these things. But I think I do because, God forbid, I have to put it in a bag and carry it from home to here. It's like the world of computers is taking over. So I left that meeting kind of, I guess, I would say, forlorn. Is this real? I didn't go into spirituality to be a scientist, so I have to kind of trust what the scientists are saying or not. Is what they're saying, are they doing this to produce fear in us? Or is this actually true? Everything that they're breaking down. And I thought of this statement that Deepak Chopra says, and it says this: as listeners, we are eavesdropping on the mind of God. And that came to me when I was leaving it, and so I realized these scientists have probably been sent actually directly from this greater potential, this greater love to keep these brick and mortar places of love. These places where people can hold hands and sing together, that a place where we can go to the fellowship hall and somebody can ask you how you're doing and you can actually have tears with a perfect stranger, and yet it feels like your sister or your brother on the path with you. Because we all have a mutuality in our belief systems where we all know that we are this greater love for this world and this planet. And we so want our young people to know that too. That they can go into the world and know that they're made in the image and likeness of God. And that they're perfect now. There's no achieving outside anything of yourself that's going to make you happy. That you're already made perfect. And your whole life journey is about awakening to that core nature that you were born with originally in the first place. So I left and I needed to start working on my sermon. And I went and sat in a restaurant in the hotel, and I sat down and I started writing, and I felt the floodgates of emotions hit me. And Mike had left. He went to go get something in the room, and I was perfectly fine when I left. And when he came back, I am sobbing at my computer. And he's, what happened? What happened? Nothing. It's just, how, I don't know. Women, we tend to figure out how we're feeling by telling other women. Have you ever noticed that? I don't think men have that as much, but you think you've been fine all week. Then you see your friend on Thursday, and all of a sudden it's download time, and you're just all crying with each other because you finally can figure out what's going on. I think that's what the same with writing will do the same thing. Writing will get the floodgates to open up. And I was asking myself, what is it that's making me feel shut down about this talk? What is it that is making me feel withdrawn from this experience? And I realized that, I have been in this work my whole life, literally. I have been working here since I was 21, but I did grow up in this church, in the other church. So we've had 3 churches. Our first church had 30 people in it on Pearl Street when I was 3 years old. Then we got to the new church that held 250 people within 2 years, and we were there till we built this church in 1992. And watching, that second church build so much that we had 3 services, and it was packed, all 3 services, so that's why we had to build this church. And we only had 1 parking space for that church. That church was right off of Pearl Street. So think of 900 people had to find a parking spot, and there was no parking. We were right on Pearl Street. And, the rush and the sound of the heyday, remembering when it was just so prosperous and so full. And I'm sitting here thinking about the future and how I now have to learn a whole new language on how we're going to bring the people into our centers. And all I wanted to do was call my father. I realized that I've always kind of used my father like he's God, right? Like he's been my mentor my whole life. He has always been there for me. And I've been ministering with him co-ministering with him for 16 years. And then I was the secretary before that and the administrator. And something was telling me to not call him, that I needed to sit with this fragmented feeling that I was feeling, and that I have to start leaning on this greater potential, this greater love we call God. I'm not always going to have this person. I mean, he'll always be with me, and we'll always, travel in spirit and things like that, but I have to lean on this greater something. I have to start finding my identification with this love and be with it. And I thought about the Bible story of the walking on the water and having to be encouraged to do so. And so I wanted to read this because I always kind of take myself through this Bible story when I'm feeling disconnected and my faith is kind of flailing a little bit. In Matthew 14:22 through 33. Immediately Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night he was there alone, and the boat was already a considerable distance from land. Buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it, shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You have little faith," he said. "Why did you doubt?" And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly you are the Son of God." And Jesus said to him, "Why did you doubt?" That's the great question. Why do we doubt ever? How come after all these years speaking and living this practice and meditating every day and running with Spirit and living the most magical life, I live a miracle existence every day, literally. And yet something comes and it oppresses me. It was going into my I guess would say, the file of the unknowns. Right? I don't know what to think about this backcasting thing and going to 2030. I've never, ever been a futurist personally. And in fact, I've been taught to never be a futurist, right? In Unity, what do? It's all about the presence process. It's about living in the moment and not missing the grace of the moment. And so I think that's what it was. It's the discord of being in a state that I've never really been in before. But I thought of my father, and I thought of, whenever I've read that story, I really thought of my father. And that's just really interesting, that I've always had him on such a pedestal that he's the one that will say, why are you having such little faith about this? He's the one that's questioned when I come to him for counsel or having a nervous breakdown. I mean, I've had all sorts of hardships in my life. I've lost a child. I've gone through a divorce that was really hard. And he's always been there 2 offices down. You know what I mean? So I'll knock at his door going, and it's just like, I just lose it. I fall to the ground, and he's like, okay, what's going on in your life now? I don't think there's many daughters that have been as blessed as I have to have their father, like, right there every single day. I mean, if you love him, it's a good thing. I guess if you didn't really get along, that could be a real nightmare, too. So Socrates says it this way: the secret of change is to focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. I've been raised to know that everything is in divine order. Everything has a divine plan. We choose our experiences, we chose our parents, we chose these things in our life to grow, for our spirits to be grown our whole life. That's what we're here. Life is a school. Spirituality is a school. We're about growing into being more compassionate, more present, more patient, more compassionate, more empathic, more intuitive, more, to the point where we almost don't have to talk anymore because we just are living the dance of the energy that we carry. But I have a friend that attends this church. I don't think she's here today. She usually ushers at this door, Jennifer Shields. And she is a great, amazing reader. She reads everything on spirituality. And a lot of times she doodles during my sermons, and then she'll hand me, some interesting ideas some concepts that she's come up with. And 2 weeks ago I spoke, and she had written that there was a book that was written by an award-winning journalist, Eric Weiner, who had traveled the world for 1 year to find the happiest country. And he was a self-proclaimed depressive type because he was always in the forefront of some of the greatest wars. His whole life has been working for NPR, and he's been in probably some of the most unhappy countries. So he thought this would be a good kind of a sabbatical to do this travel and try to find the happy places in the world. And he found that Iceland was the happiest place in the world. And he was asked why it was the happiest place in the world. And I thought this was very, very interesting. And it was because they celebrate failure, is what his reason was. They celebrate it. They want you to go for it. There is a sort of net that holds around people for when they fail. So it means that you're brave, that you don't live in a small way to be careful. We think in America we're so free and that we are a place that can pick yourself up by the bootstrings and start over. And actually, he writes that even still compared to the U.S., you are working with a net. We are working without one, he says. Ironically, America is supposed to be the land of opportunity and risk takers, but the system is actually set up to discourage risks, to discourage someone from quitting their job at the insurance company to become an artist, because then they won't have health insurance. So it's that kind of thing. And I counsel people all week long, and so many people stay at work that they really don't like, or stay in very abusive relationships because it's what they know. And this idea that failing is actually this victorious thing. right? And I was raised by a father that very much raised us that way. You don't live small to make people feel better. You go for it. You have to put your helmet on sometimes, and you have to jump off that cliff. Even if you don't know what that uncharted territory is about, that's okay, because Spirit's always there to catch you. He's your net. We're your net. We will celebrate your great accomplishments. And we also will still celebrate you in your great breaks where things didn't work out, where you broke down. But we know when we break down, we break open. The greatest learning we do in our life are when we fail. Some of the greatest things are when we're in the hardship, where we're broken and fragile. That's when we are open, we are plugged in to that greater something to take us to the next level of awakening. So I was in a sort of breakdown when I was writing the sermon. I was in a, I don't understand this. So the tears started to bring an understanding of, I wasn't feeling, I could fail, I don't know. I failed so many times in my life. I'm not afraid of failing. That's not what I'm here to do, but I know that I'm willing to do everything I can to make this work. The things we gain when we fail, which my few times in my life that I have, it proves to us that we are human. You know, that we are spiritual first, and then we're human beings, right? So in the human experience, we're going to be flawed because we're not completely tuned in and connected from the spiritual mind-body connection. We learn when we fail that we don't need the public's approval anymore. Once you've eaten crow enough, you're like, yeah, check this out, I'm eating crow. But to think about in Iceland, they're like, yeah, you're eating crow. Good job. Because we know they're gaining such wonderful information, because now you know what not to do, right? You learn to forgive yourself. You learn to have more compassion on yourself. You learn to be proud of yourself regardless of what's happening in your outer world. And you always leave stronger. So with me going into this futuristic reality, you know, now Shad and I have to get some education around this next phase. You know, we have to learn how we are going to bring people in, how you do the advertising, all these things. It's the business part of it all. Basically, we have to get ourselves ready to bring people into this next uncharted territory, right? So we're going from the territory that we really understand and we've been living our whole life with this center, and now we have to get prepared to take the people to the uncharted territory. In Exodus 3:11, it says it this way: I have indeed heard the cry of my people, and I see how the Egyptians are oppressing them. Now I am sending you, and he's saying to Moses, to the king of Egypt, so that you can lead my people out of his country. But Moses said to God, I am nobody. How can I go to the king and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? And God answered, I will be with you. So I just want to go into a singing meditation with you and invite my sister-in-law back out here and our rockin' band. I'm ready for you guys. I see you. I don't know. Do you want me? Okay. We need our band.
I know. I don't know where they are. We can do it on our own.
Okay. I guess we'll just do it a cappella. Hi, Larry. Welcome. Okay, thanks for coming. I just want you to take in that Aaron and I really coordinated our outfits today.
We'll stand apart from each other so you don't have to close your eyes.
Can we just make everyone to throw up while we're standing up next to each other? Okay. And this is a song she sang at the beginning. We're just going to ask you to sing it, and we're just going to really bring it into our bodies. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Now think of your fathers or your great mentors singing this to you. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Now we're going to say we. Amazing, amazing, we will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, we will do amazing things. So now I want us to put our hands on our heart, and we're going to sing to our highest selves and recognize the beauty that God made in each one of us. And when we sing this, we're going to sing I, receiving the I am, which is God through me. Amazing, amazing, I will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, I will do amazing things. And then we'll end with the we. Amazing, amazing, we will do amazing things. Playing, so I'm going to show some pictures. So I wanted to share, just before we take an offering for unity, some pictures of my childhood with my father. You can see I wrote a much longer talk than I needed. Here we go. This is the Indian lands. We spent all of our time in the Indian lands, like hiking down the Havasu, and my mom's Native American, so everything was about the earth and the planet, and it was living off the earth. It was jumping off of cliffs. It was roughing it beyond belief. We made sure we went in August when it was like 110 degrees every day. And we had this Volkswagen van that the heat was broken on in it. And that's my brother. The photograph's weird right there. Let's do this one. This is Gishawi that we grew up with. Everybody said he looked like my dad when we were little. So we had my dad's glasses on him and dressed him up. Yeah, he was like, he's the iconic. Who remembers Gishawi in this group? Yeah, look at you, see? And that's our van. That was our just get out of Dodge. We left for an entire month as a family every single summer, and we camped. And we didn't really sleep in the van. We always set up tents and stuff. But those Volkswagen vans, man, they are just the most amazing. And this is a rafting trip we took where my dad pulled no licenses or anything and didn't take any training. He just thought it'd be a good idea to borrow some professional grade raft from somebody in the congregation and throw his children, all three of them under 10 years old, and thought that would be a safe idea. Turned out that the water was a foot higher that year than it had been in 9 years, so it made the water so much faster. It was already fast, but now it was like hyper dangerous. Yeah, and so that was an awesome trip. That was a scary trip, but that was an awesome trip. There's my dad with Shad. That's Shad too, actually. That's not the raft we were in. That's like some Kmart little raft. The raft we were in was actually massive. And actually on that rafting trip, one day in, all of our food and supplies fell off of it, and it was a 5-day trip. So we were fasting for the whole thing. But that's our amazing family. And everything that I am is because of... Dad, you want to... Dad, stand up. Dad, stand up. All right, so we're going to take an offering for unity now.
Hello, everyone. I'd like you to sort of shift your consciousness around offering and not think of it as giving money away, but as you opting into an experience. And how much do you want to opt into this experience? How much do you want to opt into this movement? How much do you want to make a change in the world? That's really what we're doing right now, is opting into an experience. So I'm going to invite you to bless this offering with me. I'm going to say it, and then I'll invite you to say it with me. Divine love is my true life and my conscious destiny. Therefore I give. If you'll say it with me. Divine love is my true life and my conscious destiny. Therefore I give. Thank you.
The opportunity to look it up. It's a beautiful meditative album. When you can't find your direction and your heart won't guide you home, let go, and let God. When your dreams are broken in the dust and you've lost the will to trust, let go. Let go and let God. Let God. Let the signs remind you we are passengers. Let the signs remind you to surrender. To surrender. kyo, nam myoho renge 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 kyo. Let the signs remind you we are passengers. Let the signs remind you to surrender, to surrender. Let go, let go, let God, let God, let go, let go, let God, let God, let go, let go, and let God.
Are you coming out here, Mike? So we are now going to give you an opportunity to stand up and share about your fathers, and keep it like 1 minute or less so we can give everybody an opportunity. But if you need to leave right now, you're welcome to leave too. But this is a nice sharing for us to be able to stand up, and even if your fathers are deceased,